Hi everyone, my name is Keren, and I haven't put a slide up with my contact details, so I really hope that you pay attention to my name. It's Keren, K-E-R-E-N, Lerner, and you find me online. I'm also on page 18 of your brochure that you got for free in your goodie bag. And today we're going to be talking about content with feeling. Now, I run a design agency. We do design and marketing. And what we specialize is finding the unique greatness within our clients' businesses and helping them to communicate that. And that involves a lot of different elements. And we have a few different steps that we take our clients through in order to really establish what that is. And just to quickly summarize, because I'm not going to go through this in great detail, a big part of it is who their clients are. So what is it that makes them super happy to see the phone ringing when their favorite client is ringing them? Why does that client love them back? So if you understand what your client loves about you and you share that with the world, you're going to attract more of your favorite types of clients. And a really good exercise to do is to write down a list of characteristics of your favorite types of clients. I just did this morning. I wrote down 17 characteristics, and now the universe is going to manifest those people towards me. So once you've identified what you want in a client, you figure out what it is that they want from you, and you then choose how you're going to be communicating that. Marketing, as you probably know, is all about getting people to think the things you want them to think about you. So you choose who you want to work with, and you figure out how to manipulate their brains so that they're compelled to come towards you because they just can't think of any other option. And that's what we're trying to do with our clients. So in the room, how many of you are marketers also? Are you all in marketing? And how many people run their own businesses? Okay, so between the two types of people here, unless there's some type of person I've missed, this is definitely relevant. You guys all know what content marketing is. Does anyone want to volunteer a definition? Okay, so I'm going to give what I like, my favorite definition is. It's the little and often creation of content that you can share with the world that gives them like a little idea that you exist and that you're great at what you do. I think of it like a little coin slot in their brain. Every time they see an article or an image or a video or an Instagram story or whatever it is, that's another reminder to them that your business exists. And Neil Patel made a really great definition. It's when you're giving to people rather than asking things from them. So it's very unlike advertising, but over time, it makes people feel that they know, like, and trust you. You've probably heard similar. So some examples. This is a really great example I like from Play-Doh. It's an obvious indication that they didn't do this all on the day that Prince George was born. When this came out, it was a congratulations to Kate and William about their new baby, and they didn't know that whether it was going to be a boy or a girl, so the colors are yellow. But they obviously must have made this little model in advance and published it on their social media on the day that George was born. Another example I really like, this lady, she celebrated 14,000 Instagram followers with a great little image made out of confetti. It's just, sometimes it doesn't have to be a lot of words or a photo, it can just be an image that indicates something, and your caption is what tells the story. And then there's all the other kind of prepared content that you can be making for your clients or for your own businesses to do with celebration days, awareness days, anything you want to be associated with. Those are all types of evergreen content that you can be creating, and there are so many different basic things that you can be doing, that you really should be doing that are within that category. But this time, today, I'm really going to be focusing on content that elicits feelings, and I've divided that up into different categories of different types of feelings. Of course, it's important before you go along creating content that makes people feel things to think about your ideal client. Who are they? What do they want out of you? What do they want out of life? The more you understand them, the more likely you're going to instinctively create things that are going to be relevant to them and resonate with them. I'm going to skip a couple slides because I don't want to spend time explaining them, but I am going to be making my slides available to anyone who asks. So the first category I've got is the "that's me" category. The idea behind this is that people see this and they think you understand them. They feel like you understand them. A couple of examples. This is a piece of content we created for one of our clients. They do sales training, and they also do leadership training. So it's a list of different phrases that people might be saying to themselves that don't motivate them, and then they've crossed them all out and said, "Let's go." So it's almost like they're showing their understanding that even the most successful people sometimes doubt themselves and need a little bit of a push. So by being encouraging and motivating, they're also showing people, by echoing their kind of negative statements, that they understand their audience. This next example I made several years ago when I noticed that before people decided to go on Twitter, they would be very grumpy about it. They'd be crossing their arms and sulking and saying, "Why would I want to use Twitter? Why do I care what people had for breakfast?" And then they'd realize that perhaps it's something they should be looking into because they heard that various celebrities were on Twitter. And once they started to use Twitter and followed the people that they really liked, they realized that there's so many amazing things that they could learn and understand and research through Twitter. And over time, they become quite obsessed with it, and they're on it all the time until it becomes a way of life, just like breathing. So this is the pattern that I noticed with many of my contacts and clients, and so I created this set of illustrations in a row, labeling them across the journey of a Twitter user. More recently, the Year of the Dog, the Chinese Year of the Dog, that's this year, I found a set of illustrations with little pug dogs, and I decided that 3 of them represented the typical journey of somebody who's realizing the power of digital marketing. First, they're a bit of a dinosaur, and they say, a lot of my clients say that to me, "Oh, I'm such a dinosaur, I don't know anything. It's for the younger people." Well, that's not really true. I've got clients who are in their 60s and even 70s who I have taught how to use social media successfully for their businesses, and I myself am Generation X. And then this is another piece of content that my agency created for a client. This is an article I wrote about the story of how we came along to work with this client, Patty. Her business is called Organized and Simple, and she helps people with businesses organize their offices and their files and make sure that they're aligned with their goals and they don't get bogged down by detail and inefficiencies. So she commissioned us to do this piece of content. It was an A4 PDF. She also had it printed. And it was the characteristics of a super entrepreneur. So it was 5 ways to improve productivity in an entrepreneurial environment. She said, entrepreneurs are like superheroes. They have drive, courage, creativity, determination, a sense of adventure, and motivation. All very admirable, but like superheroes, they also have weaknesses. Wolverine's is his temper, the Black Widow is ticklish, and Superman's weakness is kryptonite. So then she goes into the 5 most common weaknesses for entrepreneurs. Now, these are all echoing the types of things that she's heard her clients say when they make excuses to themselves about why they're not very organized. The whole idea is that when they read this, they can see that they themselves make these mistakes, and they realize that they need to be more organized. For each of these different points, there's a correction. If somebody says, my team and I are good at what we do, what does it matter what our desks look like? She's explained why it's important to have a clean and tidy desk. So by doing this PDF, she then showed her understanding of her clients and all of the things that they do wrong. And anyone who reads it and recognizes these things in themselves then can recognize that she has the solution. So if you think about the different clients that you work with either on behalf of your clients or for your own businesses, and what are the things that they're doing wrong that you know they shouldn't be doing, that your business can solve, showing your understanding of those things makes them realize you know them. We wrote an article about this in our blog, and in that article I actually headlined it, how to be more productive in an entrepreneurial environment. So I myself, in my headline, would attract other entrepreneurs. While telling this story, I also interviewed my client and asked her why she chose to work with my agency and why she chose to create this content. In her answers, she said so many nice things about us that my article, which attracted other entrepreneurs, forced them to read all about how great my business is and how wonderful the piece of work that we did for her was. So it was a kind of like me using her content as a piece of content for my business to attract my type of ideal client. And I don't feel guilty about that. I think that it's a great story. I love this example of our work, and I think it's educational. So I don't feel like I'm really tricking people into reading all about how great I am, but inadvertently they did. Then, of course, whenever I share it on my social media, I always make sure to tag my client. That will make her share this piece of content that I created about her project with her audience, which brings more pairs of eyes to the people that she wants to talk to, and also to my business. So that's the first category, which is showing that you understand your potential clients and your audience. The next category is awe, which is basically when you feel like heartfelt feelings of emotion, which is a very important feeling. I'm sure you all agree. This example was from one of my clients, the Skills Farm. I showed you another example from them earlier. They just took a photo of the three of them looking happy and excited as they went out and about their day training various different clients. If you have people in your business, showing them smiling and enjoying their work is definitely going to make people who look at your content feel something, because you're showing your people and you're showing them as loving their job. And people will always want to work with people who love their job over the people who look like they're bored or grumpy. They also decided to post this on World Smile Day, so it was even relevant as an awareness day kind of content. This was an example from a movie called Paddington Bear, the first one. Instead of using normal marketing speak that films and TV shows use, which is, out now on Blu-ray and DVD, or out now in cinemas, come see our movie, they spoke in the voice of Paddington. They said, Paddington is enjoying watching Downton Abbey with the Browns and Mrs. Bird tonight. He thinks most of the characters have excellent manners, which he likes very much. I really loved this because, they're talking in the character voice. It's much more engaging than trying to sell the movie, and it makes you connect with the character. Also, they're appealing to people who like Downton Abbey, and Downton Abbey as a show has a lot in common with Paddington Bear, the movie. Both of them are period, both of them are British, people with manners, both have Hugh Bonneville as an actor. This next example is from PayPal. They don't have a lot of their own interesting content because they're a finance company. So what they do is they create content using photographers that they found online, and obviously the other messaging kind of content that they do. This was an example of a photographer who takes pictures of her kids, and they captioned this with, "We asked mom of three, Naomi PQ, what our no one is special because everyone is peopleism means to her. She reminded us there are 7 billion people on this earth. You can either fade into the background or, as Thoreau puts it, live deep and suck out the marrow of life." It's these and other cool captions that go with these amazing photos that make people feel differently about PayPal rather than them thinking of them as a finance company. They're now connecting them with the human aspect. The next category is you're with us. So it's when you want to really elicit an action from people. We did a campaign for one of our clients, Snowbiz, and in order to get people to vote for them for the British Travel Award. So we really used a messaging that really made people feel excited. They do family skiing for kids. And so each message was very excited and motivating and talked about how they felt about how much your votes meant to them. I also did a campaign about GDPR because I was getting really fed up with how boring everything was when I read about GDPR. So I created a set of content pieces all to make GDPR more fun, because we all have to do it. It was like a boring amount of admin. So I had all these different ideas of how you can get together with your friends at a coffee shop and do your GDPR work and reward yourself with Prosecco and things like that. I also did little bits of educational content, because to read all about GDPR is too overwhelming. So little bits of content teaches people the little bits they need to do. For example, the 2 types of personal data. And then I wrote an article about it on my blog and shared various pieces on LinkedIn and others. So next category, and I don't know whether I'm going to finish all these because I've been told I have very little time left. So if you would like more, I'm happy to talk to you after. I'm very friendly. Find me on LinkedIn and anywhere else. So the next one is made me think. I'm going to skip over the PayPal example because I'm going to go straight to this example from Lego. I really love this example. Can anyone tell me what this is? Very good. Now, you obviously get the concept. I'm going to ask someone else in the audience to tell me what the next one is. Very good. Next person, new person. Very good. So you guys you get it. Now Lego's not putting up a pack shot of the latest fairy castle you can buy. These are very simple images, but it's this kind of thing that makes people love Lego and rush to the stores and buy it because they feel like they're connected to some cool brand. They're not thinking they're being sold pieces of plastic. They think that Lego understands them, that they're geeky and they like superheroes and cartoons and things like that. And that's really unique. Here's another from the skills farm that we did, Churchill's today and to don't list everything I can only achieve today versus everything else. This is the kind of thing that makes their audience think about it, and so people appreciate that they're being made to think about things. I might have only chance for one more example. This one I really love, and it's a very flexible idea. You can use it in a lot of things. In this case, it's a grid of images showing different movies, close-ups of different movies, and the idea is that people would guess from the number which movie was connected to that picture. Now, anyone who comments on a post like this, it affects the algorithms of that post, and it boosts the visibility of the post on either LinkedIn or Facebook. So interactive posts like this that get people to comment and respond, if they're easy enough not to intimidate people, can be so effective in getting your message out there. So you could, for example, say, we have offices in 6 countries around the world. Can you guess from these pictures where they are? People start guessing, but at the same time you're getting this message across that you've got offices in 6 countries around the world, or that you have a breadth of services, or you have different types of clients, or whatever it is you want people to comment on. How am I doing for time now?
5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay. Next example, a financial advisor wrote this amazing article with an amazing headline, "Has the bank kidnapped your money and hidden it in the basement for 10 years?" Now she's talking about how you shouldn't be able to trust the banks because they're going to steal your money and they're not necessarily going to support you with your finance, and they're going to screw you over. Obviously she can't be saying that, very contentious. But this kind of analogy, while it's controversial because it relates to things that are kind of unpleasant, it does catch people's eye. And when people read the article, it's written in a professional way that gives them an idea. She knows what she's talking about and has good advice. The idea is that instead of giving the money to the bank, you give it to the financial advisor to invest wisely across a varying portfolio of investments. And that's what she's obviously selling. But this is a different type of piece of content that makes people think. Next category is you read my mind. I've got a couple of examples of content from this one company that connects part-time staff with working mums. The bottom one is an objection handler. They've recognized that people think that if they hire somebody with little kids, that person won't be hardworking enough and will rush home at 2 o'clock and leave their business and their tasks undone. When in fact, statistics prove that people with little kids have a lot more capacity to be productive and efficient because they have to get their work done. So they found a stat and they used it in their tweet, and it takes away the objections. If you understand the objections that your customers have, you can take those objections away with facts and stats and messages that negate those objections. How am I doing now for time? 2 minutes to go. 3 minutes to go. This example, let's have a moment of silence for all the clothes added to cart but never bought. Any e-commerce store could share this piece of content, and it would make people understand that they get what the typical behavior is when people buy online. I think might squeeze in maybe my last category. You let me in. This is the sort of behind-the-scenes stuff that was spoken about in the panel discussion earlier that makes people feel like, wow, this company is so open. I really loved when, this is terrible, Buffer had a terrible hack. It's a social media scheduling app. Does anyone use Buffer? Do you know Buffer? It's amazing. I love this company, and their tool is amazing. When they had this hack, they just went all out describing every little thing that had happened, what they were doing about it, and had they had tweets responding to everybody. So many people were complaining, and they would reply to every single tweet, and then they'd do second and third replies. It was amazing. And then it was making people really comment in a positive way. And so it turned that horrible negative thing into a positive thing just because they were open about it. So I'm going to have to skip all my amazing extra stuff because I overdid it. I over-delivered, which I tend to do, and I'm sorry about that. So I'm just going to leave you with my last slide. A year from now, you'll wish you started today. I really hope that my talk has inspired you to come up with amazing content that makes people feel things. And please get in touch with me, and I'm happy to talk to any of you anytime. Thank you.